Okay, let's proceed. If you want to join our WhatsApp group, we will also be posting the links for WhatsApp, so you can join us at any time. We have a community of active people where we share experiences and we share the latest news and trainings and so on. My name, for those who don't know me, my name is Rudy Shoushany. I'm the host, founder, and moderator of DX Talks. My specialty is ICT governance, cybersecurity, and digital transformation in the financial technology world, fintechs. DX Talks has grown, and hopefully soon we will be also scaling so that you know what is happening. We are in season 3 now. This is our 47th episode. We have more than 50,000 live attendees on YouTube. We hosted more than 78, and today hopefully we will go on a new milestone of 80 plus speakers. We have more than 5,000 participants on Zoom, and community-wise 2.7 million minutes. We're glad also to announce a new partnership with Arab Blockchain Week, which we actually drafted today, finalized it, and the press release will be issued within the next couple of hours. There will be the week from 12 to 17 to 19, sorry, Arab Blockchain Week. We will be participating in it. So I think this is very exciting for the region to have such a thing. The future is many things. One of them is blockchain, and we are very glad to be focused and also positioned in bringing blockchain and commercializing blockchain throughout the world of Middle East and North Africa. We will be participating in many sessions. This is one of them. The big crypto talks will be 16th of June. So make sure to join us. We will have also every Wednesday, we have crypto talks Wednesdays. So also join us to get the latest on what's happening in the blockchain applications, what's happening in the market. We're not trading here. We're just putting awareness and trying to bring forward whatever is happening in the world of blockchain and crypto to try to commercialize it and make it available for the region, for them to be aware of what's happening and not to take bad decisions, because we know and so much decisions to make. There's so many people that are new to this. Every week, kind of, we host somebody from a blockchain project or an initiative from the Middle East, and this is where our area of focus. So I'm going to welcome today Mohannad AlKalash, founder of Cyberx, Dr. Hamad Khalifa, Telecom Specialist, co-founder of AlBrza, Telecom Division Manager at Abu Dhabi Police, and Abdulrahman Al-Nimari, Cybersecurity Architect Consultant, Arab Social Media, Cybersecurity Influencer. So as we said, we have polls. Please do answer them in time. Meanwhile, I'd like to ask Mr. Mohannad to really introduce himself further to know him before we continue.
Thank you, Rudy, for your hospitality and for the introduction. My name is Mohannad AlKalash. I'm the founder of Cyberx. I'm really happy to be here and talking about some topics, which is digital transformation and cybersecurity. About Cyberx, that we have started Cyberx or founded Cyberx in 2019 with the purpose of spreading awareness and enriching Arabic content in cybersecurity and emerging technology. And now, after 2 years that we have scaling a little bit bigger about around the cybersecurity topic, which we do kind of an edge in cybersecurity awareness, and we are having our monthly campaigns throughout social media. And now we are having our own platform that we have a homegrown applications to secure and fill the gap in cybersecurity arena.
Thank you, Mohannad.
And I'm happy to be with you today.
Thank you, Mohannad. I'm very eager for this session. Dr. Hamad, can you please introduce yourself? You're on mute.
I was introducing myself to myself at the beginning, just to practice.
We're all ears. We're all ears for you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome everybody for this webinar. Many thanks to Mr. Rudy for this gathering and organizing this event. My name is Dr. Hamad Khalifa Al-Naimi. I'm the head of Telecommunication Division in Abu Dhabi Police General Headquarters, United Arab Emirates. I guess, Rudy, you are in Beirut and we are talking globally. So we have to mention some names for the audience to figure out where we are.
Yeah, we're controlling the Middle East, I think. Thank you.
Well, I'm one of the co-founder of AlBrza, a platform. And for those who doesn't know AlBrza as a brand name, it's the seating area where in our culture and our traditions, the people and the families are sitting and talking and negotiate with most of the issues that they are facing in their life. So it's completely different from one culture to another. And I guess in Beirut or Lebanese people, they call it al-mastaba, or that's in Egypt. So AlBrza platform, it's kind of services and consultant to support the generation and the youth in our region. We started this 4 years ago, me and my special brother, which is from a different mother, Dr. Muhammad Khalid. Hopefully he's hearing me tonight. We established this community to gather the most CISOs and IoT people at the government sector, as well as the private sector, to fill the gap between the both sectors. So whenever we cooperate together, there won't be any missing elements on whatever project that we are doing, as well as giving training for the people in the schools and institutions that's around the country. Also, lately, there are so many non-profit organizations supporting the startup people and businesses. So this is one of our pillars as well in AlBrza platform. And you can visit us at albrza.com. Thank you, Rudy. I guess this is a brief description.
Thank you, Dr. Hamad. And I'm glad you're also participating. Actually, you're also organizing the Arab blockchain. You're one of the organizers, the main organizers. And hopefully, we're also happy to be part of this initiative. So, yeah, we'll be seeing you a lot in the coming days.
Inshallah. Thank you, Rudy.
Inshallah. Thank you. Abdulrahman Al-Nimari, can you please introduce yourself? You are on mute. You are on mute, Abdulrahman.
I guess we are very excited to just talk before everyone else.
So I'm repeating the doctor's mistake. I was introducing myself to myself. Okay, thank you very much, Rudy, for having me on this talk. Thank you, audience, for your attendance. My name is Abdulrahman Al-Nimari. I started back in 1982. I guess that makes me very old, the oldest maybe of you. So when I was 1982, I was at high school then. My first computer was Commodore 64 with 8-bit CPU and 64K memory with the kernel operating system, which is the seed of Apple nowadays. I used the MS and IBM DOS from its very early version. I also used Sakhr computer mainly for playing games at the time. I was really fascinated about programming. I started to learn C, Pascal, C, and assembly. I used networking operating system, which is nowadays maybe obsolete, like Novel Netware, Microsoft Windows NT for work groups. My first interaction with cybersecurity was in 1986 with the C-Brain virus for MS-DOS. It was a virus that infects floppy drives, mainly the MBR record of it, or the master boot record. I was lucky enough to get the source code in assembly language of that virus. I took a complete session with one of my mentors. Back then, he was a Filipino guy, and I wrote a DOS TSR assembly language routine to identify the virus and warn the users. I am a big fan, actually, of Linux and open source. So I used and participated in projects like Snort, Suricata, Apache Mod Security, and IB tables. I use them mainly to create complete cybersecurity solutions. I took different roles along the path, from programmer to system and network administrator, IT manager, and finally a CISO. I was lucky enough to lead building one of the very first data center in KSA in 1995 in Ministry of Education. It was a Cisco access server with pools of modems connected to a central PBX system to work as a central dial-up server for our remote clients, early before the invasion of the internet. I am also a member of digital transformation committees in a number of private and public sector organizations. I was also lucky enough to lead the cybersecurity team of one of the biggest national IT project in KSA, which is Noor. The name is Noor. It's an education management system. It's a distributed web application with many back-end and front-end services, with approximately 8 to 9 million concurrent users online. Thank you, Rudy, for having me again.
Thank you, Abdulrahman. I'm really happy of this panel and the high-level experience that you bring to this platform. I'm really, really honored. So let's start our session today really focused on where we are today and how we're gonna go. Mohannad, I want you to further introduce CyberX and give us an understanding of what's happening in the situation of the cybersecurity world and KSA, and where is the spending, the money is being thrown at in the domain that you are responsible, and what are the trends in the kingdom?
Yes, sure. For CyberX, as I mentioned earlier, that we started in 2019, and we have touched base a huge gap, especially in the area of awareness, that we need to enrich a lot of content and to make the cybersecurity content is more related, So we try to make it entertaining as much as possible, and we want to make it more human. Because whenever you are talking about cybersecurity or emerging technology to people or normal people, you will find out that they'll just scroll their eyes and just lost interest in the discussion anyway. So this is the base that we have launched CyberX from, and we tried to make it more human and more relative. And alhamdulillah that the latest campaign that we did about privacy, that we have, I think we have crossed a 50 million impression around overall 60 degree in social media. And we are serving many customers in KSA how to build more strategies around cybersecurity awareness and how to make more impact on the senior management to start convincing them to spend more in cybersecurity and especially on the new emerging technologies. Around spendings, that if you reach to any senior management or maybe CEO or a board member, and you start talking about attacks and that mentioning to him, it's almost an attack happens every 39 seconds. So through my introduction to CyberX, that almost there is 4 or 5 attempts of attacks that happened already. The breaches are becoming more impactful, and the damages becomes more serious. And since the COVID, everyone have flipped to online, and our lives, basically, it's becoming into an online applications and online services. So as you can see, or maybe most of you know, that the attacks are becoming so serious and start be as skyrocketing when it comes to percentage wise. Now the spending happens on cybersecurity for sure, that maybe throughout the years that Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has a lot of focus on making governance and creating frameworks that everyone start working on, and start spreading awareness through Saudi CERT and through the National Cybersecurity Authority, which is NCA in the Kingdom. And there is a lot of focus making standards across the public sector and the private sector as well. And I think yesterday that started the execution of the frameworks for the service providers as well. So the spending, I think that cybersecurity is getting a huge amount of focus from the government. In the Arab world, I think the spending, or I believe the spending is around $16 billion year to date. And the predictions that it's at 25 billions in 2025, or 28 billions in 2025. And almost the Saudi Arabia shares from that is around 12%. Which gives us around $2 billion been spending on cybersecurity.
Yeah, I think there's a big budget happening in the kingdom that really trying to position the kingdom on a business perspective. And in another indirect way, you have to really secure all of this infrastructure and businesses that were created. So we see a big boom, if I want to say. You said 13% or 15%, if I'm not mistaken, that number?
Yeah. Around 12%. But 12%. Most importantly, that there is a new culture that it's coming. In technology in general, everyone is competing, right? In cybersecurity, everyone is cooperating.
Yeah,
so this culture, it has to be there, you know?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Dr. Hamad, can you tell us more about the situation in the cybersecurity world in the UAE? And, you know, we've seen what's happening in the kingdom a little bit. Can you tell us more about what's happening in the UAE and what are the spendings, what are the trends, and where the cybersecurity is going in the kingdom, in the UAE, sorry.
Yes, thank you, Rudy. I guess Mohannad has made a point where in technology, everybody's competing with everybody. And on the cyber side, everybody is cooperating with everybody. I'm with you and somehow, Mohannad, I guess, also competing in some other ways in cybersecurity and in cyberspace. But in general, in United Arab Emirates, the cybersecurity has been really a point of interest for the government lately. And November 2020, the new formation of the government has been initiated Cybersecurity Council. And this council is about cybersecurity agency in the country, which has the federal government and local government as well. As we know that United Arab Emirates government has been doing so much into digital transformation, and because the leadership and our government are pushing so much into moving more into digital services, I guess in this aspect, we are facing so many attacks and cyber issues if we are not really looking after into more digital transformation. The main domain where most of the spending and happening in cybersecurity are the government services. Since we are moving from electronic government into smart government, right now we are beyond talking about smart government. We are talking about safe cities, and we are talking about smart cities. This is whereas the most important that we are talking about. Indeed, there will be some cyber security issues if we are talking about smart cities, when we are going to use IoT, big data, to implement it into these smart cities. Rudy, I guess in United Arab Emirates, we are doing a little bit fine since most of the targets on cyberspace are going through Europe and United States. I guess we are in the Gulf region, at least getting some hits, but not as much as the United States, Russia, the big countries, the big tech countries, such as Europe and England. And somehow, I'm not aware of the figures of numbers on how much we are spending, but every day there are some new reports talking about there should be more spending in cybersecurity to defend ourselves. And I guess the defense and the law enforcement, as well as the government entities, are the most important domains which has to spend more in cybersecurity.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, I think the whole space of cybersecurity is really, really, really booming, because you cannot really offer anything to the citizen without securing it. You cannot offer any new services without securing it. Otherwise, it will be a disaster of data and data privacy and data information, and so on and so on. There's a lot of spending happening to securing the infrastructure, because we will be depending a lot. And I know, not in the terms of fighting or in the terms of competing. I know the UAE and KSA are really heading the e-government UN global EGDI index in the world, and especially in the region. They are the top 2 countries that are in the e-government space, and all of this really needs, all of that spending needs also all of that security. Thank you, Dr. Hamad. I'm gonna jump to Abdulrahman. Okay, we really saw a cybersecurity event in the GCC without you, being there. As you said, you're there from the early 80s. You are an influencer in this space. You are really working hard to bring cybersecurity. Do you mind telling us more about this?
Yes, Rudy, I already mentioned everything in summary in my introduction of myself. I hate actually to talk too much about myself. There are some turning points actually along the road in my life. As I said, that I was in cybersecurity since 1986 with the introduction of that antivirus. I am a heavy user and a very big fan of Linux and open source. I did a lot of projects. I cannot mention them, of course, but let
me ask you, what is that success factor? You have all of that experience. Why are you, in every event? Why are you available? Why are you giving that extra? What differentiates? Everybody is there, but you've been influencer. You've been chosen as an influencer also. You've been awarded as an influencer. What do you also give possibly? The people that wants to enter into the cybersecurity, we have a lot of audience that might go into that space. What do you really maybe advise them also from your experience?
Maybe my passion, my very big passion, is a big factor here. I used to work when I was still young, 16 hours a day. I still remember my mother taking my shoulder and forcing me to sleep. I started programming at a very early ages in my life. I wrote some, maybe who is old enough from the audience knows about DOS, which was a single task operating system. I had some projects back in the 80s to change DOS from this single task limitation to a multitask operating system with special type of programs. They call it TSR, or terminate and stay resident, where you control the hardware and the kernel of the operating system and you create modules, if I can say, and you add it to the kernel of the operating system to take more control over that. So in short, I was really very passionate, as I was really very willing to learn, and I was enjoying every step I take. And that's the advice I am telling everybody who is asking me how to start in cybersecurity. There are some requirements. Number one, you must master the basics. Cybersecurity has requirements, which is IT. You must be very professional in networking. You must be professional in operating systems. You must have at least the logic of programming, not necessarily to be a professional programmer, but to have the logic of it. You know what is the meaning of loops, variables. You know how to write a very small batch program to do some automation somehow. And then after you master these three, which is networking, operating system, and some programming, you have to start with the basics of security before you jump to any specific field in cybersecurity. So you have to know what's the meaning of threat, what's the meaning of vulnerability, how can you calculate the risk, what's the meaning of access controls, what is the function of each and every security device that we have, like firewalls, IBSs, IDSs, DLP systems. So master these basics. And after you master the basic of cybersecurity, you will know where to go after that. Maybe you want to go to the offensive side or the defensive side, purple teaming, red teaming, blue teaming, start like this. So actually, I had a very long experience. It's maybe around 30 years now, and I worked on so many projects in the government in both. I can mention one, for example, in Ministry of Education. We built the very early data centers in Saudi Arabia back in 1995. It was before the invasion of the internet. We used the traditional dial-up server to receive calls from our remote clients using analog telephone lines, and we used with my team, of course, we build our back-end services using open source tools, like we use Postfix for an email server, we use Apache as a web server, we use Snort and Suricata and IPTable as a security stack. So the key thing here is that for anybody to excel in the field of cybersecurity, they must have, number one, passion and willing. They should never give up. Yeah. Number two, they should master the basics. Number three, they should have practical experience. It's good to have the theory, but you have to get your hands dirty with the keyboard to practice everything you read and everything you see. Thank you, Rudy.
Thank you. Keep your questions coming. Thank you, Beverly. Thank you, Brahim, and thank you, Roland. We will take them. We will take them shortly. Also, for our viewers on YouTube, let me check. Also, please do have your. We have more than 100 person there. So if you have any questions, we will also be sharing the links on the platform there. Keep your questions coming. I'm going to ask the same question, but each one from his different perspective, because we have three leaders in the cybersecurity. Each one is really in his unique area. What is the role of awareness, and what needs to be done within the next couple of years in the cybersecurity space? Mohannad, I'll start with you, and then we'll...
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Yeah. What is the role of awareness or cybersecurity awareness, and what needs to be done within the next couple of years in that space?
Sure. Now, cybersecurity awareness is the combination of both knowing and doing, something to protect the business information assets. This is the main thing about awareness. So when a enterprise's employees are cybersecurity aware, it means they understand what cyber threats are and the potential impact a cyber attack will have in their businesses and the steps required to reduce that risk and prevent the cybercrime of infiltrating their online workspace. It's pretty much becoming very serious to organization and especially big organization. And nowadays we are start hearing cybersecurity culture. I'm not sure if you agree with me, but there is a lot of big organizations are start talking about creating a culture around cybersecurity awareness in the workspace. Does not mean that you will be completely eradicating the risk of data theft or cyber crime to your business, but at least you are making your organization as cyber aware, which is very important. And I think in National Cyber Authority, they have, I think, launched a hashtag about being the first line of defense. I totally agree with that, that making your end user or customers that you are serving is the first line of defense. It can avoid a lot of problems and a lot of really impacts. Now, somebody can ask, what's the impact can do a cyber attack? Despite the fact of the damages on the dollar sign direct to the business, there is intangible impact, which it can impact the trust and it can impact the reputation of the organization. So no way that you're gonna trust an organization that's been hacked multiple times, right? So it's becoming very serious that to make your customers and make your end users are cyber aware. What was the other part of the question?
Yeah, what is the next 3 years plan to really bring the cybersecurity awareness there?
Yes, thank you. What we really encourage all customers to start working on cybersecurity awareness programs and start building up with the clear KPIs, which is key performance indicators and KRIs, and start making a trend analysis about the behavior of the organization to make sure that they are doing from scale of 0 to 5, from initiation to be a kind move to cyber aware on the left bar. This is very important. Spending more money on cybersecurity awareness is giving you an edge to avoid a lot of spending and technicalities and just buying some boxes and putting on the shelf. And with there is a kind of a study that 90% of cybersecurity breaches are due to human error. So you can imagine how much you can avoid and save hassles to the organization by just making and enabling your users to make them as a cyber aware. So I highly encourage everyone here, if you are belonging to an organization, to start working on the cybersecurity campaigns and cybersecurity programs to cover the awareness and start have a visible and clear data around the cybersecurity awareness around your organization.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna take the same question to Dr. Hamad. I'm just gonna repeat it. What is the role of cybersecurity awareness and what needs to be done within the next couple of years in your domain of specialties? Because I know you're also, in where you work, you're also tackling that part. And in terms of AlBrza, that's also somehow bringing new technologies and that needs addressing. So if you mind sharing your point of view.
Yes, thank you, Rudy. I guess the awareness is one of the most important parts that we have to take care of. And it's about education, the people and the citizens and the residents on how to protect themselves. E-crimes has been recently increasing, and we can tell that e-crimes doesn't have any emotional target. It's all about stealing money from people. either through a scam phone, either through a portal. And there are so many ways of e-crimes. So I would love to see some kind of awareness that's happening around any communities. As much as we see the announcement and the advertising about a football game, or even the New Year Eve, a party that going to be attended by like a famous singer. If we have such an advertising and a campaign, as Mohannad said, to educate people on how to protect themselves, because the latest and the new generation are all into the IT. And we are talking from the IT perspective. What about those people who have no idea about the IT information at all? What they are going to do? They have to evolve themselves into the service, the digital services that the government are offering. And I guess in most countries these days, the electronic services and the smart services are mandatory for everybody. And talking about the second part of the question, Rudy, I would say this is what we have to do. We have to do more education parts, and this is what we are offering in AlBrza as well platform, cybersecurity classes and courses, which only like 5 minutes training courses. We do have more specialist people in cybersecurity to offer. And as I mentioned, we are targeting the students and the new generation to educate them about cybersecurity. I guess Abdulrahman, he agree with me. Probably he has kids, and inshallah, I'm not wrong, grandkids, that they are into information technology. So I guess more spending into advertising, educating people, go to the movie theaters, every single corner of any social media that we need to aware people and educate them about the e-crime, cybersecurity. And I'm going to talk later about some of the initiatives done by the government as well.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hamad. Let me go to Abdulrahman. If you mind sharing from your point of view the same question about cybersecurity awareness and the future of it.
Okay, Rudy. Actually, cybersecurity awareness is my favorite, and I am doing it all the time. We all know that human is the weakest link. End users are considered the primary vulnerability within any network or enterprise. And as Mohannad said, a very big percentage of attacks are caused by human error, either not aware of the risk or ignoring the enterprise policies. So organizations are investing in making their users aware of the risks and threats to change their behavior and attitude towards cybersecurity. So what needs to be done? From my experience and my field experience with different types of organization, many organizations are not doing awareness the proper way, the way it should be. Awareness, number one, should be oriented toward a specific audience. So there is no single content that will fit all the users. So we have end users, we have managers, we have business units, different business units, we have developers, we have executives. Each one of those needs its own unique content that matches the position that he has, the role that he has, and the job that he is practicing every day. So also there is something that the cyber awareness should be interactive and practical and focus on the user's role so that the user will find it interesting. So there is nothing more bad than starting awareness workshop and looking at the user yawning, they want to sleep because the content for them is not interesting. So adding interactivity and adding practice and focusing on the role of the user will make this workshop more interesting to the user. Another part that I see majority of enterprises ignore or neglect is the physical security. You will find they are focusing on technical things and they are completely ignoring the physical security. Number two, awareness should be a continuous process. Most of us are using EMS to do that, e-learning management system, so that we will pop up messages, we will be interactive with the user on his computer while he is practicing his job. Another important thing is to have metrics. We have so many awareness workshops, so many training, and we want to know if we succeeded in changing the user behavior or not. So we must have some metric to do that. My favorite metric is the phishing campaign and the number of clicks. And I like to tie that to each business unit so that it will create competitive environment, so that each business unit has its own unique metric in measuring how well the users in that specific business unit are doing, or are they improving, are they changing their behavior. And in order to make this a success, we need to add some incentives and rewards to motivate our employees. Stuff like employee picture on the wall of fame, employee of the month, a thank you letter, mentioning that the user is doing very well in the public, stuff like that. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice techniques. I think they are very practical for stimulating the employees or stimulating the people so that they are also an owner of cybersecurity, not just a user. Yes. Thank you, Abdulrahman. I just shared the LinkedIn links of my esteemed speakers. Please follow them and interact with them whenever you have the chance. They are amazing in their field. I'm just gonna go to Mohannad. Mohannad, what do you think of the cloud adoption that is soon to take the kingdom? Or actually it already started, but now that Amazon is going in there and many other providers will soon be entering that space, where do you see the future of that?
Yeah, sure. But can I give a comment?
Sure, please.
I would second Abdulrahman on the idea of learning management system and phishing. And I just want to take the chance that we have in CyberX our own solutions on LMS and phishing. And we are more than happy to support and provide it to any organization if you find any gap in this area. About cloud adoption, cloud is becoming a very active discussion, especially since in Saudi Arabia that we have SADAYA, the Saudi Authority for Data and Artificial Intelligence. Since they announced and the country started talking about the G-Cloud, which is the government cloud, everyone starts heavily talking about cloud adoption, especially in public sector. As you know, and the esteemed audience, that SADAYA responsible to have a government cloud which is gonna host most of government sector data centers to be there. This is the main target. I think throughout the last decade, we have seen a lot of adoption on cloud, especially when it comes to Western side of the global side. As you mentioned, Amazon, Azure, Google, and many other providers when it comes to cloud. And we are seeing a lot of hypes and people, I think the people behavior, especially in the last 2 years, have changed a lot. That because the end user is looking after the service. He doesn't care where your data center located. He doesn't care how are you building your application. I just cares how easy and workable your application is and how secure my data within your applications. When it comes to security, you can see that the topic of security, it starts popping up in each and every conversation. If you're talking about on-premise, cloud, air-gapped networks, everyone is talking about cybersecurity and what you are doing about cybersecurity. I think the spending in cloud will increase in the coming 5 years. We will see the results, how it will look like, especially when government start adopting a lot of changes in government. I think UAE are leaders when it comes to cloud adoption. Maybe Dr. Hamad can more clarify about this point. And back to you, Rudy.
Yeah, thank you. I think there's a big revolution in adoption, and especially, we were discussing offline with Abdulrahman about, thanks COVID, because it moved everybody in the adoption of digital transformation. We know that, we lost a lot of loved people. We lost a lot of our friends, our families. But at the same time, it gave us another thing, which is that digital transformation and digital, evolution to be really bring better services, bring better citizen-oriented things for the help of the citizen. And we are witnessing the big boom now as we live it. We are, we are in an age of witnessing the future as we speak. Dr. Hamad, I'm gonna jump to you. You can add to Mohannad, and can you give us an update about the governmental cybersecurity exposure and the latest in protecting itself? And what are the latest legislation or initiatives that is being implemented in UAE?
I guess I'm not going to add to Mohannad anything, Rudy, since he is talking about his company and the cooperation between him and Abdulrahman to sell some products to Abdulrahman. I guess, Abdulrahman, you need to ask for some discount through Rudy.
I'm buying. I'll get special discount. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Rudy, for this question. I guess the exposure in governmental cybersecurity in terms of we are open. We do have most of the governmental services online. I guess His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, the Prime Minister, and the ruler of Dubai, has been pushing a lot for all the federal entities and organizations to move into online services. Zero visit for customers into the organization and entities by the end of 2022. Can you imagine the number of hard work that's happening through the infrastructures of the digital transformation things? This is when I am talking about exposure. Nobody talks about infrastructures. I guess we are spending a lot and some of the softwares, programs that we are buying, but at the end, the infrastructures has some kind of forgiveness when nobody take care of the infrastructure. But in the latest initiatives by the federal and the local government in United Arab Emirates, there are so many initiatives. One of them is called Child Digital Safety. And this is when the government are talking about how to make the children safe and secure whenever they are using the internet. It's a joint effort to raise awareness among the children in the school and their parents from the online threats and challenges, just to make them secure, as well as digital security. This is another initiative, and this is the cooperation between Telecommunication Regulation Authority in United Arab Emirates and most of the government, either local and federal entities. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the formation of the United Arab Emirates Cybersecurity Council, as well as Dubai Cyberx, and the latest legislation that we do have in our region. It's called United Arab Emirates Information Assurance Regulation. This is evolving cyber threats, including hacktivism and organized cyber crimes group that challenging national security. And as I said, Telecommunication and Digital Government Regulatory Authority has been the owner of this initiative. And we can see, as Mohannad said, yes, we are moving toward and leading some of the latest technology, but without supporting from private sector as well as from our neighbors. And I guess the most important cooperation between the GCC countries these days, even lately, I guess, it was the traffic software that whenever you do a fine or breaking rules, for example, in Saudi Arabia, the fine and tickets will come to you, to United Arab Emirates. And the same in Oman and Qatar and Bahrain, I guess. And hopefully in Lebanon, Rudy, if you are doing any fine in UAE, you will have it in Lebanon. So it's going to be under your registration.
It will follow me to my death. That I know.
I guess this kind of legislation that we are talking and initiative, and hopefully to see more initiative all around. And the cooperation, as I said, from the private sector and the government sectors.
Yeah, I think the future is fully dependent on collaboration and cooperation to really, because, we've seen the virus, how it is now a small city. It hit in China a couple of months back, after that, it's worldwide. And the cooperation has to be the same. The technology is also following massively in that space, and hopefully,
if I may, Rudy, I just want to add something to Dr. Hamad, that I think in UAE there is the Smart University of Hamdan bin Hamad. It's, I think, the first in the region that they went completely on Amazon and they just closed their data center.
Okay, that's big.
Yeah, I saw the announcement. I think 6 months ago.
Yes, Mohannad. And we are talking about universities and education institute. Talking about Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Artificial Intelligence University. This is the latest. I guess we are not covering until now. None of us mentioned artificial intelligence, but this is Rudy, another topic that probably you need to highlight. The topic on it.
Yes, we already did, but we will highlight. I will try to maybe coordinate with you to try to see if we get somebody from the university itself, because I think UAE positioning itself in that space of AI, the technology of the future, is a big bang for everybody. And if they can open this throughout the region, it's a big bang for the region also, not just for the UAE. And assigning the first minister on such initiative, I think it's also, it's a leading towards the future also. So I'm just gonna remind the audience, thank you for staying. Please, if you want to join our WhatsApp group, I just posted the WhatsApp group and we're waiting for your feedback. I'm gonna take, after Abdulrahman, I'm gonna take 2 quick questions because they are more or less the same, from Beverly Pang and Roland, because they complete each other. So please stay tuned until I get back to you. Abdulrahman, I'm gonna ask you another question. There was the National Cybersecurity Authority, which I think we mentioned earlier on, which has been established in alignment of the 2030 vision. Can you tell us more? What's the role? What is it playing on all of those initiatives? Just to understand more, where are we going also?
Okay, Rudy. The NCA, or the Saudi National Cybersecurity Authority, was established back in 2017 with a direct reporting line to the royal court. That's the king himself, which shows how determined and serious the Saudi government is about cybersecurity.
Exactly. When I was preparing this, when I saw that reporting structure, I was amazed.
Yeah, yes. It is directly to the king, and this signifies how serious the government is about cybersecurity. And actually, you know, among other functions of the NCA, the very first function was to centralize the national cybersecurity strategy, which is the strategic vision of to build a resilient, secure, and trusted Saudi cyberspace that enables growth and prosperity. Since its establishment in 2017, it came up with a number of controls, frameworks, standards, and guidelines. As an example, the first control was the ECC, which is the Essential Cybersecurity Controls, and another for critical systems, which is the CSCC, Critical Systems Cybersecurity Controls, and another cybersecurity controls for the cloud. They also build many of the initiatives. For example, let me mention two of them. The first one is the Cyber EDU, which is to help universities to set the minimum requirement for cybersecurity in higher education. Another one is the SIUF, which categorizes the cybersecurity work in Saudi Arabia, define the job rules in each category, and sets the requirements for each job role in and the number and the different tasks, the knowledge and the skills and abilities required for this specific role. They also have one initiative for the national cryptographic standards, which sets the policies and standards for minimum cryptographic systems in the Saudi data. They came up also with some guidelines like cybersecurity guidelines for e-commerce, cybersecurity guideline for remote workers. They built some cyber initiative like the Cyber Pro, which is a cyber security training program targeting universities and government employees working in the cybersecurity field. So in short, we are actually very, very, very lucky in Saudi Arabia to have the NCA, because they really did a lot of great things and they pushed the cybersecurity up. Thank you, Rudy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take, before I jump to the audience, I'm just gonna take 2 minutes introduction about the first day of GISEC. If you can summarize how was the day today, what made it different from other years, because we're all eager for a physical interaction, and today you're one of the lucky people that are available physically.
Actually, today was the first day. The halls were really crowded, and because of COVID-19, there is some social distancing. Yet there were a lot of people. There were a lot of, and by the way, you can go to the GISEC.ae and have a look at the agenda of every single day. What I noticed today is that there are so many companies involved, the big companies like Huawei, for example, Microsoft, Fortinet, along with so many others. And they also came up with this idea of country-specific day, one day for Saudi Arabia, another for UAE, another for another, and that's it. So today there were a lot of people really coming from different parts of the world, majority from GCC countries. I think that's because of still the travel restrictions and the COVID-19. Not all the people were able to come to the conference, but in comparing what I have seen today to my previous attendance to the same GISEC conference in previous years, this one is really more in terms of content, number of exhibitors, number of companies, and also the type of topics discussed in the workshops and training.
Yeah.
Thank
When
you.
is your session, Abdulrahman?
Tomorrow, inshallah, at 11:20.
Sure. Beverly, if you're still with us, do you mind asking your questions? And I want directly Roland to ask his question. Roland, are you still with us?
Yeah. Sorry, I thought that you actually wanted to have Beverly as well. Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot for your valuable input and very, very interesting discussion. It's actually following to Beverly question, which was about whether we would have any offered insurance product to offer actually in the region. I wanted to ask it in a different way. So do you see any insurance that is offering cyber insurance packages offers, for example, to cover enterprises, small, medium enterprises potentially, and if yes, actually any idea how these actually are offered? What are the modalities they are provided? I'm just curious actually to know about that.
I don't know if anybody in the audience can answer that. Sorry, from the speakers.
So just to clarify, so cyber risks, the cyber risk insurance, it's more like about.
Let me give you my experience, because I've done one for Lebanon. And I was involved in a consultancy of it. We had to go on something called BBB cyber insurance plan. It was with another big insurance. Unfortunately, I cannot name it, but it was based in the US. So there was nothing in the region itself for Lebanon. I don't know about the GCC. I'm sure there is something there. But from what I know, in Lebanon, there was only one in the States, which was able to insure for cyber insurance. I don't know if anybody else has interference in this. So
my humble experience that in the insurance industry, at least that we have in Saudi, it's kind of still a primitive industry. And I believe that it needs a lot of, don't know how to describe it, but maybe shaking, that we need to shake
some maturity, probably
industry.
Some maturity to reach a level, acceptable level, I would say.
It's not about maturity, it's about the kind of services that you can promote, because still the insurance is yet conservative, as much that there is no agility yet. I hope that when the new regulation from SAMA, that it's becoming more adaptive to the new technologies and to the IT industry in general. We have seen that there is some movement around the, if you want to travel nowadays from Saudi, that you need to be insured, which is still, they're trying to cover it through the pandemic. And hopefully that they will consider the IT as a part of the insurance, because I have worked in multiple data center projects, and we were looking around having an insurance company to insure, from the normal activity, like, exactly. Twisters, maybe volcanoes, etc. The normal disasters. But we couldn't find it, that it was super expensive.
Yeah. The same here. We had to go on that project for the US, for them to insure with many criteria and so on. Thank you, Mohannad. I'm going to take a question about risks, and cyber risks is always changing and evolving. Sorry, Dr. Hamad.
Excuse me, Rudy. I just want to interfere into this hot topic, cybersecurity insurance. You said there's a company in the United States that you've been working with. We have seen lately the last cybersecurity attack on the gas pipeline. In the United States. Were those guys insured in terms of cybersecurity?
But we have to see. We had to see if it's exclude, all of that crypto related cyber deals because they were locked out of their system. I'm not sure what was their insurance, but it's interesting question actually to try to dig in and try to find out, because what I knew is actually they paid the ransom. This is what I knew.
They did. The latest news that they did pay.
Yeah.
But as a huge oil company talking about billions of dollars, what was the reaction in terms of cybersecurity?
Yeah. We have to see also what's the situation with KSA, the kingdom's oil supplier. Also, what they have done. This is also another good question that we're gonna, I'm gonna be digging more. Cyber risk is always changing and evolving. Whatever we do as control still need to keep up with technology. This is a question from Rahim. What can someone do if the resources are limited and cannot keep up with the technology up to date? Please feel free to
give up technology and do nothing.
In short, yes.
Simple as it is.
Or
sometimes we wish that we can.
Or maybe prioritize. If you are short of budget, so the best solution is to prioritize. Know where is your crown jewels, start with them. If you cannot give up technology, as Dr. Hamad said.
Yeah.
Rudy, I would say that either prioritize whatever services you have, or we do have outsourcing services that most of the companies these days, as you mentioned, the COVID-19 pandemic has pushed all the digital transformation era into not even 100% to activate and adopt, way than more than 1,000% to adopt the new latest technology. And I can say that there was a report coming from New York City and Manhattan especially, saying that around 55,000 offices has been emptied since the pandemic. And most of those offices belongs to a small companies who move to either cloud service or either outsourcing service. So I guess outsourcing is another way to do the risk in cybersecurity.
For resources, yes. Mohannad?
Maybe, yes, since we are talking about affordability of products, that let me do some pitches here. That in CyberX, that we have 4 main platforms, which is LMS and phishing. We have SIM, the security event and information management, and threat intelligence platform. So if any esteemed audiences that they want to acquire a technology, and because of affordability that you couldn't, you can have our products for free.
Yeah.
The main thing is just to bridge the gap.
Yeah, I get you here. I understand. I've seen, implementations of SIEM. They cost sometimes in the millions of dollars, and you need the resources, you need the know-how, you need the 24 hours operation. This is where, as you said, Dr. Hamad and Mohannad, this is where outsourcing really comes into play. But this is depending, of course, on the client, on the data that they have. And this is where I'm going to ask the final question for today is about privacy. Each one is a different, background in privacy. We have the citizen privacy, we have the company privacy, and everyone has a different perspective on privacy. And I think privacy is helping the cybersecurity to really, because we cannot talk cybersecurity without privacy, but it's really pushing cybersecurity across every little point that we are touching. And when we see the social media, how they are utilizing our data, it's crazy. What's your point of view, three of you, what's the point of view from your side about privacy in your geographical area? What's happening in the kingdom and what's happening in UAE?
If I may start, maybe in GCC and in the Middle East area, we lack regulations for privacy. But the good thing is that privacy rules is somehow implied in some other regulations. For example, in Saudi Arabia, we have the NCA regulations, we have the CITC regulations, we have another from other organizations. So privacy and somehow is dealt with in these general cybersecurity regulation. But I think this is not enough. We need a dedicated privacy regulation that will regulate and make clear, especially for companies, what to do with their customers' data.
Yeah, you need a regulatory authority, possibly.
Yeah. We need a regulation, for example, from the NCA in Saudi Arabia to regulate the data that we have with our own companies. For example, with any company, STC, Mobile, or any other company, Microsoft, Google, or anywhere. We need something like the GDPR.
Yeah,
that's so strict and so clear and so so that everybody will know what is his right and to what extent can the company be free to take his data. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rudy, hi, Rudy.
Hi, Nabil.
Question.
Yeah.
I have two questions for your audience. Thank you very much for all this information, and thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
Nabil, do you mind waiting 1 minute before they continue the question? Or is it the same question about privacy?
Yes, on the data privacy side.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, on the data privacy side, I've been dealing in the GCC area on a different level, and a different country, of course, and we're coming into a lot of conflicts. So interpreting those data and from authority to another authority can differ and can be different. Now we're seeing the giant companies such as Microsoft or such as Google or Amazon are coming to install the data centers. So just to cater and to come into the marketplace with their own data centers. And I'm sure that there's the rules for the data residency as well. Is there any rules? Is there any information you can guide us through for us to be as a supplier to be aware of, or at least the plan for the common data privacy for the GCC area? It's been launched like 10 years back, and we haven't heard about it or any update from any authority. And I thank you in advance.
Thank you. Yeah, so it falls in the same idea of legislation, and yeah, please go ahead, Dr. Hamad or Mohannad.
تفضل مهند.
الله يحفظك. يعني usually it starts around privacy, that people you need to deal with your information and about your data. It's kind of a treasure for you. So you don't deal with your information or start sharing. There is a big difference between sharing and oversharing your data around across the platforms. So you need to start with yourselves. Make sure that your password is complex enough that you can remember. You don't want to make it more complicated that you can just forget it. You know, you just make a complicated password to the attacker, but it's easy for you to remember it. The second thing, just make sure that you have an updated operating system in your laptop, in your mobile, and any form that you are dealing with your operating systems. And make sure just to take a look for what kind of agreement that the application is giving you, because this is very important. Sometimes you are just submitting your data to the application and giving them the whole rights of using your data without just reading the agreement. The last thing, that if you are an IoT users, like an Apple Watch or any kind of gadgets that you are using, make sure that This information is not located where that those people can utilize this information of yours, especially when it comes to IoT gadgets.
Yeah,
so this is a very basic, because the privacy is really needs another 1 hour of discussion at least to discuss it. But I'm just giving a quick tips to the audience so they can be careful with their data.
Yeah. Dr. Hamad?
We just finished Ramadan, and I guess we are always watching Macintosh ads when it say آخرها أطيبها. And this is when I ask you, Mohannad, to go, and I'm the last. So آخرها أطيبها, I will be honest about privacy, and I would say whatever goes online stays online. There is no recommendation and advices that we can give in terms of privacy. At least when you go and make a booking, you are using your cell phone number and the hotel to receive the reservation number, as well as some other information. So there is no privacy. We are not talking about protecting our privacy. Everything is online. If I go right now and Google Abdulrahman, for example, I will see so many pictures about Abdulrahman. I know that Abdulrahman is in Dubai at the moment. He's attending GCC. He is going to have a presentation tomorrow. This is kind of a privacy that we are talking? I don't think so. Rudy, you are located in somewhere in Lebanon, if you are in Lebanon, and this is not your office at the back end. This is a picture. We are talking privacy. Privacy is something we are hidden. Nobody knows nothing about us. This is when we are talking about privacy. What I guess there was a show on one of the Egyptian channel about privacy. So they go and introduce the person on the street. As soon as they introduce themselves, the vehicle on the back already took a capture on that face of the person and do whatever scanning on the social media and figure out almost half of their personal information, date of birth, when they joined Facebook or Instagram, where they were last night, what they had for the breakfast early morning. What kind of privacy we are talking about? That's my pick of the last question, Rudy. And I hope I didn't being rude in answering the question, but this is the truth.
This is the sad truth. Yeah, unfortunately. I know something for sure because I was working on a project for the kingdom. For the banks related, there is a legislation from SAMA regarding the data centers or the cloud service providers that forces the data to reside inside the kingdom itself. Other than that, I'm not aware of any other,
This is also the NCA regulation, the same requirement. Data actually, this is not new.
Yeah, it is not new. It is not new.
It's not new. It was more than 6-7 years ago. There was a royal decree stating that no government data should be hosted outside kingdom borders.
Yes. Thank you for that. Please, I'm gonna post again my esteemed speakers LinkedIn. Please follow them on Twitter, follow them on social media. Please interact and network. I just want to thank everybody who stayed. I want to thank the speakers. If anybody has a last word before we start winding down and close the show.
Thank you very much, Rudy. Thank you, audience. I wish to keep this good stuff happening all the time so that we will at least contribute and exchange ideas and experiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
رودي بنصير نصلي.
يلا روح. عليهم. كلمة لك أخيرة.
الله يعطيكم العافية. جزاكم الله خير. This is a wonderful gathering, as أخوي عبد الرحمن said, and we'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Abdulrahman will be at the GCC.
Okay.
We'll meet you, inshallah. And
Inshallah.
I guess, Rudy, as what Abdulrahman said, we are looking for more events and webinar, just sharing knowledge and information, getting experience from those guys. As Mohannad, thank you for offering your services and software for the audience. Abdulrahman, you are welcome in your second home country.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
حياكم الله. Rudy, thank you a lot, and hope you are staying home and safe.
We are trying. Thank you, Dr. Hamad.
حياكم الله.
مساء الخير. Mohannad, last word.
Again, thank you so much, esteemed audience and esteemed panelists, and thank you, Rudy, for hosting us and making this happen. I'm always happy to share our knowledge, our information, and hopefully that we can be kind of benefit for anyone that needs help. Please, if you need any support, any kind of help, feel free to reach me out, and I'm sure the esteemed panelists that they will do the same. And again, 1 hour is not enough with you guys, and hopefully that to see you soon again in another session.
Likewise. Thank you a lot again.
Excuse me for interruption. Mohannad, can I tell people that you are offering free stuff?
If it comes from your side, for sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night. Enjoy UAE. Enjoy the show. Thank you, Dr. Hamad. Thank you, Mohannad. And thank you, Abdulrahman. Really, it was amazing. For the audience, please join WhatsApp to keep the latest updates and follow us on the social media. Thank you again. I'll be staying here. If anybody has a question, I'll be stopping the recording. And thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.